Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here. Hopefully this next 25, 27 minutes, they told me, is going to be unforgettable and very helpful to you. It was 1971. We had just moved to Wichita, Kansas, and my mom was determined. She was going to find a way that all three of our kids were going to learn to play a musical instrument. So she asked around. This is before internet and all the things. So she asked around and read the ads, and it turns out Starkey Music was going to have a Yamaha music school class, which I think was innovative at that time. She went to an open house and became convinced this was the thing. I had no choice, but every week we drove across town and took this class for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, Jim Starkey, who is Dee Starkey's dad, this is Dee, took us into the showroom. And he said, boys and girls, this is a special day. Look around. I want you to pick what instrument you want to play. And then he looked at me and he said, Philip, what do you want to play? Now I'm a polymath, Swiss Army knife. I can't choose very well. But he said, listen, do you hear that? What is it? He said, that is Pete Fountain, and he's playing a licorice stick. And I liked licorice, and I'm 8, so I can't handle abstract thinking. Like, how does that work? So he showed me. That right there is a licorice stick. It's a clarinet. So I said, that's it. I started taking lessons with a guy named Dick Helt, who was a founder of the Wichita Symphony, and 4 weeks later I was fired. I couldn't sit still. He said, come back in 2 years, but I begged and begged and begged, and he took me back. That began a long-term relationship with Starkey Music. My brother, sister, and I went there for lessons for year after year after year. We bought multiple instruments. In fact, I bought my professional instrument from there, even though I'd gone off to college. Probably over $10,000 were spent there. It all started with an open house, and then it started when he looked me in the eye and invited me to play. Music events rarely fail because of the music. They fail because people don't know about them. They don't know why to come. They don't know if they're going to belong or what to do next. When we have events, they don't just fill the room. They start relationships like that story I told. But here's our problems. Here's what gets in the way of music events being effective. First of all, can people even find it? Do they know that you're going to have it? Do your existing customers know? But what about the people who don't even know about you? Are they finding it? And then targeting means, do you know who it's for? Are you actually writing your copy and creating videos for the person that you want to come? Is it for that mom of the kids? Is that who you're targeting? Then you better write the way she wants to, where she is looking. And then does it feel relevant? Are you actually writing to her and what her needs are? And then when you put the event on, are you doing a good job? Are you executing it in a way that they're not bored, but they're invited into it? And what's the atmosphere, whether it's a store, an event center, or whatever it is, does that feel connected to what you're trying to create? I was living in Chicago, and I had this really creative idea to put on this thing called a Psalms project. I invited artists from all over Chicago to create art and music around a psalm from the Bible. And I had it all planned, and it was great. There's one problem. I didn't think about the atmosphere, what it was like to come. I didn't think about the execution. How does someone in a wheelchair get into the room? That put a real damper on the event. And then after your events are over, how are you following up? What are you doing? Are you calling them? Are you sending postcards? Are you sending email? How do you even know if someone was there? These are things that get in the way. But you know what your number one problem is? Our number one problem? We have competition that is hard to fight. We are fighting Netflix. People want to stay on their couch instead of get up. People want to watch YouTube and streaming services instead of getting out of the house. Or they're playing sports or watching sports, or they're going to concerts like Taylor Swift. She is way better at marketing than any of us, probably all of us combined, except for my friend Dennis Yu, who's back there. We are up against some stiff competition, but if we do things the right way, we can get the right people to show up to our events, just like my mom did. 35 years ago, 45, whatever that is, I can't count. So I'd like to suggest a metaphor for you. It's not a perfect metaphor, but I think it will work. Think about the customer journey like it's a dinner party. And there's 5 stages involved, and I'm gonna walk through these in detail, but we're gonna go with the person that doesn't even know about you. You treat someone a dinner party differently if you already know them and you have a relationship, but we're going with the one where it's kind of like those retirement businesses and they invite you for a free steak dinner, but they're trying to rope you in. It's sort of like that, but not spammy. So it starts with, can they find you? And then you get them to your website or social media, and then you get them to your venue. Do they feel like they want to come in? And then once they're inside, do they feel like they're part of the community? And then there's the experience itself that they came for. And I didn't put this on here, but how are you following up? So let's walk through these 5 stages. First stage, do they even know you're there? Imagine that you've got this party going on out in the country, and you've got this huge mansion, and you're gonna put on this massive dinner party, but no one knows about it. So that's our problem. Our problem is we aren't targeting the right people. We don't know who they are. We don't know the demographics. We haven't figured out the way that they talk or where they are, where they're hanging out. Or the strategy. Some of us post and pray. Post one time and hope that they're gonna come. Send one email, create one video. We need a whole strategy. Dennis, can you hear me? Are you in the room close by? It used to be that you had to do 5 to 7 contacts with someone for them to show up. I've heard it's now 27. Is that about right? 60 times you have to contact someone for them to take action. We have to have a strategy for reaching them over and over. And then if you're the owner of your business, your staff need to be convinced that what you're doing is worthwhile. Now, real quick, how many of you own or work for a music store? Raise your hand. How many of you are performing artists and you're trying to get people out to your concerts? A lot of you. How many of you work for like a manufacturer and you do open houses trying to get other businesses into the room? How about universities, lessons? Okay, that's a good smattering of people, but you've got to be convinced this is worth doing. Now, your audience is finding you in different ways. So you've got to make sure your website is optimized for search. You're using the terms that they're using, not the terms you would think they would use. So you're using AI to help you. You're looking at Google. You've got Google My Business if you're a local store in place so that they can find you. AI, people search using AI. Have you created your content in such a way that they will find it if they're in ChatGPT or whatever tool they're using? Did you know with Siri and Alexa, you can ask people, you can ask it about, do you know Dennis Yu? Do you know whatever music store you are? What about when they go to social media? Can they find you on all the places that they're looking, and is the content relevant? And then you've got your customers. Have you empowered them to invite their friends? Have you given them resources, a ticket, an email, whatever it might be? You've got to find people where they are. I live in Wichita, Kansas, and music scene is right next door. Steve Shook is the owner, and I like what he does. He knows that his audience are students between grammar school and high school. They are coming for lessons and they're coming to rent instruments. That is his primary audience. But to help with that, he has formed a community jazz band with a lot of the top musicians in the Wichita and Andover area. And every now and then, once or twice a year, he puts on a concert where he has a high school band and this professional band. They play a concert together, and then they end with the high schoolers playing with the pros. And that is a huge thing for them. They love being able to play with the pros. It draws out all the families, and that causes the younger brothers and sisters to look up to that. It's a great magnet. All right, so they found out that you're having an event. Now they're gonna go check out your website or your social media and find out, do I want to go to this? What gets in the way? When they go to your website, it might feel generic. You haven't hooked them in. It's super important within the first few seconds that they say, oh, I want to know more. They're intrigued by it. They want to keep reading. They want to keep watching the video. You've got a 1-minute video that captures the essence and it's well designed. Again, are you targeting your audience, or is it for yourself, or is it just for anyone? Be clear who you're targeting. Now, I forgot to check if this is real, but this is chaotic. If your website looks like this and they go there, people are gonna click off it immediately, right? So be clear, design what you're doing well. Now we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. I'm actually gonna have a prize at the end of this little exercise, but I'm gonna ask you to make a choice, A or B. I'm putting on a dinner party, and you can only go to one of these dinner parties. Option A, I'm putting on a pizza party. We're gonna play games in the backyard. There'll be great beer, craft beer going on. That's option A. Option B is it's a gourmet fine dining experience. We're gonna have a Jeffersonian conversation that's deep, that's intellectual. So if you are option A, pizza party, go ahead and raise your hand high. All right, if you're option B and you would go for the gourmet experience, raise your right hand. All right, it's about 2/3, 1/3. All right, I want you to be thinking about which one you think I would have raised my hand for. I'll ask you in a minute. Now, we're gonna go to working out. Some of you love CrossFit or working out hard and building up your muscles and you wanna sweat hard, that's option A. Option B is you're going to Planet Fitness because you don't wanna hurt yourself and they don't allow grunting. All right, so who's into option A, CrossFit, hardcore workout? You wanna get buff, not like me. All right, option B, you wanna go to Planet Fitness or something like that. And you have to choose, there is no option C that's in between, okay? I know that some of us would like that. All right, so first person to guess which two I would have picked is going to win a copy of my book. Raise your hand and I'll call on you. The first person that gets it right. Okay, lady, right here. Nope, not right. Right here. No, not yet. No, not yet. Right here. B and B. Nope. Yeah, use the letters. That's fine. Right back here. The fine dining and CrossFit. Yes, sir. Come get your book. All right. I love a fine dining and a great conversation. I'm actually more into heavy lifting than I am to not being able to grunt. All right. Very good. So here's the point. If you were having a pizza party, but you started talking about the fine wine that you're going to have and this Jeffersonian conversation, people are going to be totally confused, like what in the world is a Jeffersonian conversation? And I'm not going to define that for you. Look it up. It's a very cool thing if you like that sort of thing. So when you're writing your copy, it's got to target the people who you want to come. Can you define who they are? Do you know their demographics? How old are they? So in the case of that open house that my mom went to, she was probably in her 30s and she's a parent. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's extremely interested in her kids wanting to learn music. So she cares about that open house because she wants to check it out. What are the questions that they are asking? A lot of us have a tendency to write our web copy and our social media copy for ourselves instead of for them. Here's the great thing about AI. Tell AI who you are doing this for, and you tell it to write it in your voice, but targeting that person. And it's gonna do a decent job, and it's gonna get you out of your own brain. And then, when you're designing this, make sure that they can see themselves in the pictures that you put up there. I used to live in Carmel Valley down in San Diego, and that community is 70% Asian. So I would want to have pictures that show a lot of Asians in it, because if I didn't, they wouldn't feel like they belong. So make sure your pictures show that, and then have testimonials coming from the kinds of people that you're trying to reach. If it's for that mom, but all of your testimonials are from professional instrumentalists, or whatever the case might be, it's not going to relate. 5-star guitars, are you in the room? Yeah, back here. Okay. So I love that 5-Star Guitars knows who their audience is. Obviously, it's a guitar store, although places like Guitar Center aren't just guitar stores, right? And sorry if you're in the room. So they know who their audience is. They know these are people who want to learn about great instruments. They would be interested in a musician like Mike Stern, who's an awesome guitar player, and they'd want to show up. And by the way, if you ever do that again, I'll fly wherever you are. And then they have gear. People care about gear. They know their audience. They know how to design events that are going to get those people there. All right, so let's say they went to the website or your social media and they say, I want to go, RSVP, click, okay, I've got it on the calendar. Now they've come to your event. They're in your parking lot. They're coming up to the door and they're wondering, do I belong here? Is this going to be safe? Are you familiar with the amygdala in the brain and the fight, flight, or freeze response, which is looking for danger? Is this going to be dangerous? Because if it's dangerous, you're irrational and you're going to get out of there, or you're going to fight as quickly as you can. That's bad. So one of the ways that we overcome that is we have a plan for greeting people. We make them feel welcome when they come up to the door. We know what the points of friction are going to be. What is going to cause them to feel like they want to run away? Is it the windows are chaotic, it's dirty, it's messy, there's guys dressed in black suits who look mean. Maybe that's the vibe you want, maybe it's not. There aren't people once they come in the door who can guide them through the experience and show them, here's where the event is, here's what you need to do. Here's the case. You've got to own the first 60 seconds. When they come in that parking lot, they get to the door, you're setting the tone. First impressions are way harder to overcome if it's bad than if you have a good one. People will be forgiving if you have a great first impression, but the opposite is not true.